Hi, hope you're having a great day wherever you are. Today, I want to talk about, right, again, the Bitcoin price, right? Using Bitcoin as a proxy for the whole crypto market and looking at key news over the past week to basically have an expectation of what's the near-term future, right? Look back in the history to see what's coming, right? Let's just dive into it very quickly. So let's look at the weekly chart first because this is the higher time frame, just to give you a good sense of what the bigger trend is first before we dive down to each of the lower time frame of analysis of the charts, right? So let's first look at a weekly chart, Bitcoin prices. So as you can see, right, this was the trend line I drew before this weekly appeared. So I actually drew this on Saturday, yeah, and now we have clearly seen, right, they end the week and it has a new low. So what I mean is that, right, there was a trend line at 11,330, but when this week closes, it's actually open and closes all below this trend line, so it is looking very bearish actually on a higher time frame. So how does it look on a daily time frame, right? Daily as well, as I've said, just that there were two important trend line. In fact, for the before the last day close, right, before this candle appear, here we can clearly see, right, the bulls and bears are still trying to battle it out very, very strongly. Both opposing forces are very, very strong. They're still deciding what to do, right? And they are still hovering at this support line of basically 11,386, right, or about 11,400 level, yeah. But when yesterday price opened, right, and closed, it basically fell below this level, but it has closed, or rather, yeah, it has attempted to breach below the 10,000 level, which is a very key level, as you can see, right? It's another key support level, but it has held up before that level, just a bit above, right? And now that's why it still stay around there, hovering at about 10,200 level. So again, even on the daily time frame, it is looking very bearish. How does it look at a 4-hourly charts, right? So this is the charts. So as you can see, right, the 4-hourly charts, right, seems it is definitely bullish, bearish, as you can see, there's a break, right? When the market opens, it basically dropped much closer to the 10,000 level. But as I've said just now, there was a key support level at 10,000, right? So thereabout, right? So you see the 4-hourly charts, they're trying to turn, meaning it has definitely established a bearish trend, but, right, it seems to be holding well above, or rather it wants to hold above the 10,000 level. That's what the lower time frame is actually showing. Similarly, in the 1-hourly charts, right, so this is at about 9,800 level, but immediately it closed back up, right, above the 10,000 level mark. Yeah, so currently we are at 10,200 level, right? That's there about there, 10,229. That's what it closes, right? So it is definitely trying to be very, very strong. It doesn't want to be below the 10,000 level mark, is what we are seeing on a lower time frame. Similarly, in the 15 minutes charts as well, you see, they're trying to very bearish as a start, but then a lot of resistance to actually go down below the 10,000 level, and it keep trying to push up, and even here you can see, if you were to draw a trend line here, that's actually, the near-term trend line is actually upwards. So what it means is, again, similarly here, right, there's the near-term trend, they're trying to actually move up, right? So now that's what I mean. What I'm seeing is that, right, yes, overall it's a very bearish trend. It could be because of what just happened in the recent week, and people just knew about it, right, over the weekend, and because people go out for dinner, and I think they'll be talking. But more importantly, what I'm seeing now is that the prices are holding, holding very, very strongly above the 10,000 support level, because 10,000 has been a very, very strong psychological level as well, right, before the whole market will turn bearish. So in the near term, I think this is still very, very strong, or trying to not the bull is still trying to take hold. Is basically what I'm saying here. All right, now let's look at what happened in the past week. What are the key big news in the past week, right? First, we have Donald Trump tweeted, right, that he said he's not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies which are not money, and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activity. He tweeted actually in the middle of last week, but I think immediately what happened after that, in fact, till the end of the week also nothing much happened, but over the weekend it really just crashed, right? And now they're really trying to stay above the 10,000 level, and I think if it can stay above the 10,000 level, then it will just slowly, gradually be going to another uptrend again. That's what I expect, but again, who knows, right? And I don't have crystal ball. Again, this is not financial advice, but this is just what I think based on what I see from the charts. Now, so this tweet, right, honestly, so the way I think about this tweet is really this, right? First of all, the implication of this tweet is just don't look at it at a face level. Think of it like this is the first time US presidents, right, given such high stature, actually openly talk about their stance of Bitcoin. And honestly, if you think about it, this is still not super negative. Is still in a very diplomatic kind of way. Then he is not saying that means he's not upfront saying Bitcoin is bad. He just coming from the point of view that him subjective view is that he is not a fan. So you see the point that he say he's not a fan, right, means that, right, because being a fan or not of something is a very subjective thing, right? You don't have to follow him. Is that what I'm saying, right? It is not very strong negative word. That is the one way of looking at it, right? So yeah, I mean, because we have really seen even much more negative, much more stronger negative views, right, from people like Warren Buffett, who said that Bitcoin is like a rat poison squared, right? Or it's a poison, right? It has totally no value. It will crash to zero. That kind of things, right? Whereas Trump, in comparison, this tweet honestly is really quite mild. If you want to compare, really, if you put side by side comparison, this is mild, right? And the fact that he expresses in terms of like is his opinion, it's not like I know for sure that Bitcoin will go to zero. He never say things like that. He just said, oh, I'm not a fan because he thinks it's not money and he thinks its value is highly volatile and based on thin air. You see what my point is, right? Now, then the other thing is you can turn it around and think that actually, right, if you replace words like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies with US dollar, this will also can apply, because if you think of it like, US dollar is also highly volatile and it is also based on thin air, because really there's no gold, no real goods backing it up. Again, why US dollar remain the global reserve money of today is really because a lot of people still believe in the strength of US dollar. That's why it continues to be like that. So it's similarly, you can replace that, right? And the other thing is, again, a very common argument against crypto is that they said that, crypto is always being used in illegal activities. But again, now remember, crypto is only created in the last 10 years, but illegal activities, drug trade has been around for thousands of years. So what do they use? Mainly US dollar, right? Before that. So yeah, you cannot only blame crypto for this, right? And the other thing is this very key implication I saw from this tweet is that, the fact that, first, you never hear about, any major country president tweeted or talk about Bitcoin, right? If something is not important, basically, you don't talk about it, right? So first, all the key government, all the key figures, all the top presidents have been ignoring Bitcoin. So this is just like the sentence. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, and then they fight you, and then you win, right? So this tweet is actually a mild fight, right? It's basically we're already at stage 3, right? So I will not be surprised if not long in the near future we will see them joining in issuing cryptocurrencies as well. But the question is, most likely based on all the key developments that have been happening in the past 2 years, right? US is not likely to be the first to issue a sovereign digital currency, inspired by crypto. Yeah. So that's just what I think. Next one is very interesting as well. Our next big government, UK, right, they also are coming up with a fresh law that says criminals to face fresh crackdown in fight against dirty money. So what it is actually they have come up with a law to make sure that they want to tackle fraud, money laundering, bribery, and corruption. And specifically in this law, right, they are mentioning crypto assets. So again, right, this is again another classic case of, right, first they have ignored cryptocurrencies altogether. If you look at even last year or 2018, early 2018, no, sorry, even 2 years ago, right, they have been saying things like, it is such a small thing, right, that it will die off, that it will not pose a threat to the government, right? Even last year, you can see all these kind of headlines similar, giving that kind of message. But now what they are saying is that, right, US, UK, they're saying is that now we need to have laws to actually govern, right, to make sure how cryptocurrency is used, right, so that it's not misused for illegal trade activities. So do you see that shift in sentiment? Do you see that shift in message? From before, they were even trying to say like, ignore, they can afford to ignore. Then now, ignore and laugh, right? Now they are saying that how do we fight this trend, right? Next, in China as well, another big government, right, that they have openly, explicitly not friendly towards crypto at all. But now the latest thing is that they are using the reason that there's electricity theft to actually seize, right, Bitcoin mining machines, and they've basically put people in jail because of that. But the key here is this, that they are citing electricity theft, right, rather than that, they are doing Bitcoin mining. So this is what I thought is quite interesting, because in fact, I think it was in April that they said that is the China government said that they are looking into banning Bitcoin mining or crypto mining altogether, right? And they have giving people 1 month to actually respond. But now, today, they still haven't come up with any clear regulation on whether they are banning Bitcoin mining or not, right? So very, very interesting, yeah? So last one is that, interestingly, right, other governments in Iran, right, a small country that has been always sanctioned by US, that they are looking into issuing their own cryptocurrency backed by gold. So again, so this is very interesting development. So quite clearly, or at least on the surface at least, we don't see US, UK, or even China, all the big countries coming up with any their own sovereign powered or sovereign led cryptocurrency, right? But Iran, on the other hand, they have every incentive to actually do this. So we may one day see Iran coming up with this soon, right? Although they have been saying it for a while, right? But very likely they may come up with it, and it is going to be very, very interesting, right? Because if they come up with it, yes, then they will trade with their trading partners using this, and then slowly you will see, right, the displacements of US dollar just gradually, right? It always start with one thing and then a domino effect. That's how it happens, really, yeah? So lastly, I just want to end it with John McAfee again doubles down on his $1 million Bitcoin price predictions, right? He has already said this, I think, about 2-3 years ago, right? And he has made a very bold claim where he said, if Bitcoin doesn't hit 1 million by end of 2020, that's about 1.5 years away, he will basically eat his manhood in the public, right? And now he is very brave to actually come out again to reaffirm his belief. And he's basically, again, people will remember what he actually promised, right? If it doesn't turn out to be true. And he said this recent dip is just a normal weekly fluctuation. So my read of the chart seemed to be a bit aligned in what he's saying, but of course near term it may drop down below 10,000. But just looking at the charts now, right, it seems that there is a very strong bull trying to hold the prices above the 10,000 level, right? And if you look at it overall, I think the fundamentals seem to be very strong. And just what happened, just the key news last week alone, and I may very likely have missed a lot of key news, I apologize for that, right? But just even between these few, you can see the trend is really between that, the government now are saying that they cannot afford to ignore this anymore, that they need to look at how they can coexist with it. So they need to look at law, right, to make sure that they govern, they regulate, they know more, rather than, right, they being out of the game, that they do not know anything. That's just really what I think, as seeing that, Bitcoin is here to stay and they cannot afford to do nothing, right? So they rather be part of it and see how they can gain from it. Is really what I think. That's the way things are going. Again, no financial advice, and hope you're having a great day. Hope, if you are holding, hold on. And just all the best. And I'll speak to you next week. Thank you so much for your time.